In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this super cute and easy crochet bandana from start to finish. This is an updated version of my original crochet bandana pattern, and that pattern has been very popular, but there have been a few people who wanted a version that was a little bit less ruffly on the edges and a little bit smaller. So I did a few updates, and this is the result. A lot of people really loved the original pattern, so don't worry, it's not going anywhere. I'm leaving it right where it is. And I'm going to link down in the description to the original video if you want to go check that out. And if you want to grab the printable version of this pattern, it's available in my shop. And I did update the pattern to include the original version and the updated version as well. Or if you want to check out the free written pattern, it's available on my website, and you can click the link down below to check that out. And be sure to stick around until the end of the video because I'm going to show you some tips for making this bandana in different sizes. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, here's the supplies you're gonna need. For this tutorial, you're gonna need some worsted weight cotton yarn, a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. Alright, so here's how you do a magic ring. You start with your yarn, you're going to have your tail end here, and then you got your working yarn over here. And then you're going to wrap it around your two fingers. You're going to cross it over so it makes an X, and then just kind of hold it in place over here with your ring finger. So I'm kind of holding it down like that. Then you grab your hook, and you're going to go under this first part of the X, and then you're going to scoop the yarn on this part and bring it under, and then you're going to turn your hook like this, and that kind of loops your yarn onto your hook. Then you're going to reach back over here and grab the same yarn that we just had grabbed before, go under it like that, and then you're going to pull it through the loop, and that will lock in your magic ring, and it also acts as your chain one. We're going to be chaining 3 at the beginning, so that's the first chain, and you're just going to yarn over and chain 1 more and then 1 more. So now that's our chain 3, and now we're going to make 2 double crochets in the magic ring. So all you do is yarn over, and you're going to be working right into the center of this ring. So you yarn over, I usually hold my yarn in place with my finger, and then you insert right into the middle of that ring, grab the yarn and pull it up like this. Then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And that's a double crochet in the magic loop. So there's 1, we're going to do that one more time. Yarn over, insert into the middle of the loop, pull up a loop of yarn, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So there's that's our first 3 double crochets of row 1. The chain 3 counts as the first one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and this is going to make our corner of our bandana, and then we're going to do 3 more double crochets in the same magic loop. So same thing again, just right into the loop and make 3 double crochets. All right, there we go. We got our chain 3 and 2 double crochets, a chain 1, and then 3 double crochets in our loop. So now we're gonna do the magic of the magic ring, which is we're gonna pull on this end, and it's gonna close up this loop. So all you do is just pull it, and magically it is not there anymore, and now we just have this little cute triangle. And it's kind of hard to tell that it's a triangle at this point, but this is going to be the front edge of your bandana, and this is going to end up being the back edge eventually once you've done all the rows. So this is the point of our triangle. If you don't really want to do the magic ring, or if you don't get it and it's confusing you, that's okay. I have another method to start this bandana, and this is a pretty simple method. So to start, you're just going to go ahead and make a slip knot like you normally would to attach your yarn to your hook. And we're going to chain 4 times. And what we're going to do here, this first chain is what we're going to be working into, and then these 3 chains just count as our chain 3 for our first stitch. So we're going to be working right into this first chain for all of row 1. So now we need to do 2 double crochets into that first chain. So to do that, you're just going to yarn over and insert your hook into the very first chain of your chain here, and go ahead and make a double crochet. There's 1, and then we're going to do another one. Alright, so that's our first 3 double crochets. The chain 3 counts as the first one, and then we got 2 more. Now we're going to do a chain 1. That's going to make the corner of our bandana. And now we're going to do 3 more double crochets in the first little chain here. And there we go. And that is row 1. And here's the corner of our bandana right here, and then our 2 sides. And this will be along the front edge. And you'll end up crocheting over this knot, so you won't see that. And this method works just fine. You do end up having a little bit bigger of a hole here. With a magic loop, you won't have a hole there. It really doesn't matter because there's holes in the whole bandana, so it'll just blend right in. It's not a big deal. But that is another method for row 1. All right, now we're going to go ahead and continue on to row 2. So we're here, we're going to turn, so you're just going to like flip your whole thing over, and you're going to chain 3. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the same stitch. So yarn over and double crochet in the same stitch that our chain 3 is coming out of. And then we're going to go ahead and go over to the corner space, and we're going to do 3 double crochets in that space. Then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 3 more double crochets in that same space. And then we're going to make 2 double crochets in the top of our chain 3 right over here. And I like to go under both loops. I'm going to go under the first loop, and then I got to get the second loop on my hook, which kind of requires a little fingernail maneuver. There we go. I got both loops on my hook. Oh, I forgot to yarn over though. Yarn over, and then we're going to go under both loops of our chain 3, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in this stitch. So that is row 2 completed. So for row 3, again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn just like that, chain 3, double crochet in the same stitch that our chain is coming out of. Then, since now we have our first space here on the side, we're gonna do 3 double crochets in this side space. And then we're going to go to our center space, which is right here, and do 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets. All right, and then the other side space over here, we're going to do our 3 double crochets. And then in our top of our chain 3, we're going to do 2 double crochets. Yarn over first. And then try to find both loops. So there's one and the other one is right there. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get under both loops, but I think it just looks better, so that's why I do it. Okay, there we go. And then do your double crochets. And there we go, that's row 3 completed. At this point, what you're gonna do is just repeat that row for all the rest of the rows you do. I'm gonna show you one more row, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to row 12 and then I will meet you back here. But I'm gonna show you one more just for a little, just to be fun here. All right, so now we're gonna start row 4. So again, we're gonna turn our work over, do our chain 3, do a double crochet in this first stitch, the one that our chain's coming out of. Then we're gonna go see what now we have two side spaces. So the first one's right here, and the second one's here, and then we got our corner up here. So in this first space, which is always just right past the 2 double crochets right here, you're gonna make your 3 double crochets. Then the same thing in the next space, 3 double crochets. Okay, and then in the corner, the top corner, we're gonna do our 3 double crochets and then our chain 1, and then our 3 more double crochets. Then in the next space over here, we're gonna do 3 double crochets. And then in the last space, we'll do 3 double crochets. And then 2 double crochets in the top of our chain 3. So yarn over, and then you gotta get your hook under both loops. There's one, and get that other one. There we go. And then do your 2 double crochets in there. And there we go. And that is row 4 completed. All right, I'm gonna go finish up the last few rows of this bandana, and then I'll meet you back here to do the border and the straps. Okay, so I just finished through row 12, this is how it looks at this point. So the first thing you're gonna do is turn and we're going to start our scalloped edge row. So you're going to chain 1, then you're going to skip the first double crochet. So that's the one that your chain that you just made is coming out of. You're going to skip that one, and then you're going to slip stitch into the next double crochet. So you just insert your hook, pull the loop through, and pull it through. There we go. Now in this first space right here, we're going to make 3 double crochets. All right, now we're going to slip stitch in the center double crochet of this 3 double crochet cluster right here. You see we got the 3 stitches here. You're going to slip stitch right into that middle one. All right, then in the next space, and in each space going all the way until we get to the corner, we're going to put 5 double crochets in each space. So this one, we're going to do 5 double crochets. There we go. Then you're going to slip stitch in the center double crochet of this next 3 double crochet cluster. And then 5 double crochets in the next space. Then again, slip stitch right in the middle here. And then 5 double crochets in the next one. And you're just going to repeat that all the way down until you get to the corner. All right, so now we've gotten our first side done. So before we do our corner, we're going to do our last slip stitch into the center double crochet of these 3 here. And then we're going to make 7 double crochets in the corner space. And then we're going to do our slip stitch into our center stitch of that cluster. And then we're going to continue down the row and do 5 double crochets in each space. And then, you know, a slip stitch in between for each one. So now we've gotten all the way down this row and we're to our last space. So I haven't done this last space yet, and that is because we're only going to do 3 double crochets in there, just like we did at the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and do my slip stitch here in the in the middle stitch of that 3 double crochet cluster there. And then in this space here, we're just going to do 3 double crochets. There we go. And then we're going to slip stitch right in the stitch right before the chain 3. So just slip stitch right into that guy. There we go. And now our border is done. Isn't it cute? I love this border. It's so simple and so cute. Oh, my hair stuck. Okay, so now the only thing we have left to do is the straps and the little edge of single crochet going across the front. To make our straps, we're going to chain 61 times. I've got 61 chains done here, so now what we're going to do is just slip stitch down our chain. So we're going to skip the last chain that we just made, and we're going to work into the next one, and then all the rest going down the row of chains. Now we're just going to slip stitch into each one. All right, there we go. I made it all the way to the end. Here's how it'll look at this point. And then once you get all the way down to the bottom, you're gonna make a slip stitch in the same stitch where your chain started from. So you see your chain started right there. You're gonna slip stitch into this stitch right here. Now we're just going to single crochet all the way across the front of our bandana. The amount doesn't really matter as much as just that it's even. So I'll show you how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go, you're going to be working into the sides of these stitches. The first one goes like right here. And then the next one, I'm going to go in this spot right here. And you just want to look at your stitches and make sure they're not like spaced super far apart. And then the next one, I'm going to go right in this little spot right here. And then I'm going to go in this spot, this little spot. And then here. And you're just making them even. You don't want them to be like super far apart, and you don't want to crowd too many in together either. So there's not a certain amount of stitches that you need to make. You just need them to be even. That's the most important thing. So see how they're kind of evenly spaced along there? That's what we're going for. And then once you get in the middle, you're gonna go right in where that center part is, like right here in that center. And then if you want, you can crochet over your tail from your beginning part, and then you don't really have to worry about weaving it in later. I like to do that. And just crochet right over it, just hold it right there along the edge, and you're just gonna crochet right over top of it. So there we go. Now we've single crocheted all the way across the front. And like I said, the amount exactly does not matter that it be a certain amount. You just want it to not be so many that they're like bunched up and it gets wavy, and you don't want it to be so few that they're just like really stretched out in between. You just want it to look nice and even. Now I gotta do our second strap. So again, we have chained 61 times. All right, and then again, we're just gonna slip stitch going down our chain. All right, and then once you get done with your chain, you're gonna go ahead and slip stitch into that same stitch where your chain was coming out of. So just slip stitch right into there, and there we go. And now all we have left to do is cut your yarn and leave just enough, you want to leave enough tail to weave it in and make it nice and secure. But what I like to do is take the yarn and bring it over and then pull it through that last loop and then just pull it to tighten it up, and grab your yarn needle or tapestry needle or whatever large eye needle that you have. And now we're going to weave this end in. And then go ahead and cut your yarn. There we go. And this one I'm just going to go ahead and cut, since I crocheted over it for several stitches. I think it'll be fine. Okay, so to make this bandana in different sizes, it's actually really easy to resize it just by reducing the amount of rows, or if you wanted to make it bigger, you could increase the amount of rows. And it's really easy to measure it like on the recipient's head as you go. And then you can really tell, you know, that it's the right size for them. So what I recommend doing is getting a tape measure, just one of these, and you can measure their the distance between like the backs of their ears, and it's gonna end up going a little lower than that. So you're gonna wanna go like the middle, the back middle of their ear, not like down here, because the border is gonna add a little bit of extra length. So that way it kind of takes that into consideration. But if you just take a tape measure and place it like right behind the middle of your ear or whoever's ear, go over the top and then stop right on the back in the same spot on the other side, and then just pinch that with your finger and look. And like mine is about 15 inches. So I know that if I made it when I'm working on my rows, if the triangle is at least 15 inches across, then I'm probably good. And you can go a little bigger, it's okay. If it goes, this is a little bit bigger than that, and I like how that fits, but at 15 inches, if I stopped there and then after I added the border, it's gonna be good. Or also, even if you don't want to use a tape measure, if they're there with you, you know, if it's like your kid, you can just be working on rows until it looks about like what you think might be right, and then just go stick it on their head and see if it goes behind their ears. And if it does, you're probably good. That's what I do with my kids, and it works. So just, you can do that. It's a really easy way to tell if it's the right size or not. And then you can just stop there and go ahead and go do the border. And then the only other thing you have to take into consideration is the length of the straps. They might be a little long if you do them the way they are for, like, if you were making this for like a toddler and you're making it like a lot smaller. So you might just reduce the chain length. Instead of doing 61 chains, you might do 51 chains, just to kind of make it a little bit shorter. I personally prefer the longer straps, just because it's easier to tie with longer straps, but if you have too short of straps, it's just really hard to tie. And if you wanted to make it bigger, all you'd have to do is add another row or two. For a large adult size for this bandana is 13 rows, which is how big the original bandana pattern was. If you want a little bit more coverage, you want it to be a little bit bigger, just do 13 rows, or you could even do 14 rows. You want it to be, it's just gonna keep getting, you know, lower and bigger. So keep that in mind, and it's gonna stick out a little bit more on the edges, more rows you do. So that's an easy way to adjust the size of your bandana, and you can either size it up or down, it's up to you, and it's very customizable, and you just add rows or subtract rows, and then make your straps longer or shorter, it's up to you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please leave a like and a comment down below if you made this. I'd love to hear how it turned out. Be sure to check out those links in the description if you want to get the printable pattern or see the written pattern on my website. And I hope that you will subscribe and come back for my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.